The news. The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the tuning app onto your mobile phone today and catch up on all the latest news from HitzAfrik Radio. Broadcasting live on modern Ghana and our website www.hitsafrikradio.org. HitzAfrik Radio News Hour live.
Good evening, it's exactly 19 hours in the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. It's time for us to bring you tonight's news, and then we are moving on to tonight's headlines. Business tycoon shot dead at Kaswa. Former MP passes on. Sudan gives US $335 million for victims of bombings. Chioma's family returns bride prize to Davido's family. This and many other stories I bring your way this evening. Stay tuned as I bring you the news in details. My name is Abna Ahene. Now let's do the news in details. Business tycoon shot dead at Kaswa after visiting bank. The sad news conveyed has it that a man believed to be in his 40s had been shot dead by some unknown gunmen in Opeikuma in Kaswa in the central region. GhanaNewspage.com reported that a businessman had gone to the bank to withdraw some amount of money. The man, after withdrawing the money, was approached by the armed men while he was waiting to board a taxi to his location. The gunmen, who were numbering two and two number, were riding on a motorbike. According to a fruit seller who saw everything, the robbers, after exchanging some words with the businessman, snatched the brown envelope from him and shot the man at close range. They made away with the envelope containing the amount of money he withdrew from the bank. Moving on to other stories, former MP passes on. A former member of parliament, MP for Ibura Asebu Kwamankese in the central region, Harry Halifax Hayford, has passed on. Mr. Hayford, who stood on the ticket of the National Democratic Congress, is said to have passed on January 19, 2021, after a short illness. His family was in Parliament on Monday, March 29, 2021, to formally inform the Speaker in the House of his demise. The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Badin, with Mr. Hayford's family. The burial and final funeral rites have been scheduled for the 29th and 30th of April 2021 at the Christ Cathedral Anglican Church, Cape Coast. Maybe an image of one or more standing people who were sitting and indoor. Mr. Hayford was a member of the Third Parliament of the Fourth Republic and from January 7, 2001 to 6th January 2005. In other stories, GES instructs all schools to go on break. The Ghana Education Service has announced that all schools will break for the Easter holidays tomorrow, Thursday, April 1st, 2021. A statement issued by GES said the break will end on Tuesday, April 6th, 2021. Academic work will resume on 7th April 2021, the statement added. In other stories, NDC MP fires minority for approving Ofori Atta. National Democratic Congress (NDC) Member of Parliament for Bolgatanga Central, Isaac Adongo, is not happy with the leadership of the minority in Parliament for consenting to the approval of Ken Ofori-Atta as the Finance Minister. According to him, Mr. Ofori-Atta epitomizes all that is wrong with the country's economy and shouldn't have been given an approval by consensus. If there's anybody who will put his life on the line to get Ken Ofori-Atta not to be the finance minister, you can wake me up at any day. But it is a collective decision. I disagree with the decision, but I respect the view of the majority, he said. This follows the vetting and approval of Mr. Ofori-Atta as finance minister for the second term of the Akufo-Addo-led government. In other stories, 3 fake midwife and nurse assistants arrested, sacking after forging WASSCE result slips, certificates of others. Some 3 nursing and midwifery practitioners have been arrested and sacked by the Nursing and Midwifery Council for impersonation. The fake practitioners and trainee were apprehended.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the TuneIn app onto your mobile phone today and catch up on all the latest news from HitzAfrik Radio. Broadcasting live on modern Ghana and our website www.hitzafrikradio.org. HitzAfrik Radio News Hour live.
Good evening, it's exactly 19 hours in the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. It's time for us to bring you the nice stories. Stay tuned as I bring you the news headlines. Business tycoon shot dead at Kaswa. Former MP passes on. Sudan gives US $335 million for victims.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the TuneIn app onto your mobile phone today and catch up on all the latest news from HitzAfrik Radio. Broadcasting live on modern Ghana and our website www.hitzafrikradio.org. HitzAfrik Radio News Hour live.
Kindly pardon our technical challenges. Moving on to other stories. 3 fake midwife and nurses assistants arrested, sacked after forging WASSCE result slip certificates of others. Some 3 nursing and midwifery practitioners have been arrested and sacked by the Nursing and Midwifery Council for impersonation. The fake practitioners and trainee were apprehended by officers from the Intelligence and Disciplinary Department of the Council over impersonation and forged documents to gain admission into nursing and midwifery training institutions. This Nursing and Midwifery Council has further withdrawn the licenses and certificates of registration of the fake nurse assistants and midwife and removed their names from the register of practitioners. The sacked practitioners are Miss Abigail Bobbin, midwife, Miss Esther Abube, trainee midwife, and Miss Stephanie Athabedu, nurse assistant. A statement by the Nursing and Midwifery Council Public Affairs Directorate indicated that Miss Abigail Bobbin and Miss Esther Abube used certificates belonging to others to gain admission into the Nursing and Midwifery Training College, Pembe in the Savannah region. However, through some intelligence gathered and with the assistance of principal of the training college, the 2 were apprehended, the statement added. The statement further said the two were invited to the council, while they admitted in their written statement that they forged documents and used West African Senior Secondary Certificate Examination result slip belonging to some persons to gain admission. Meanwhile, Ms. Stephanie Athabadu, however, used someone's certificate and obtained a fake birth certificate to gain admission at the Nyanyamba Health College, according to the statement. She was, however, apprehended when she presented documents for change of name. She admitted in a written statement when invited by the registrar to the Council of forging documents to gain admission. ECOWAS organizes workshop on anti-money laundering in Accra, in other stories. The Minister of Works and Housing, Frances Asenso-Boakye, has called for a concerted effort among stakeholders in the security and real estate sectors of the country to combat money laundering. Given the stakeholders in the security and real estate sectors of the country to combat money laundering. Advancement in technology and the borderless world, which is making it increasingly difficult to track money launderers, there is the need for collaboration among experts to fight money laundering, he added. Mr. Asenso-Boakye made the call in Accra yesterday, in a speech read on his behalf by Dr. Frida Akosua-Prempeh, the Minister of State, Ministry of Works and Housing, at a workshop on anti-money laundering and compliance with combating the financing of terrorism by real estate practitioners and agents. The three-day program is aimed at enhancing the capacity of participants on current and emerging money laundering risks. It also seeks to promote cooperation, coordination and engagement among relevant competent authorities and real estate sector professionals on how to effectively implement strategies for anti-money laundering and combating terrorism financing. The program was organized by Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, in collaboration with the Intergovernment Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, GIABA. Mr. Asenso-Boakye stated that the real estate sector had become an easy and convenient place where financial criminals hid their booty or convertible currencies from the state, thereby depriving the government of the requisite revenue for development projects. The minister said money laundering is a form of financial crime had become sophisticated, adding that the most prominent way in which this manifested itself was the real estate market, where criminals integrated illegally acquired funds to legal economies to provide safe investments through the use of either direct cash or fictitious names to purchase properties. According to the Financial Action Task Force, the real estate sector accounted for up to 30% of criminal assets confiscated worldwide between 2011 and 2013, he added. He said the ministry, in its quest to adhere to international best practices as part of the promulgation of the Real Estate Act 2020, Act 1047, incorporated provisions to plug the avenues in which real estate transactions were used to launder money. The Director General of GIABA, Justice Komelabolu, ABA, in the speech read on his behalf by Dr. Bruno Induka, Director of Evaluation and Compliance, said the real estate sector was one of the main drivers of the economic growth and the engine of social stability across member states, which constitutes an important part of economic development in the region. He said the program would provide supervisors, self-regulatory bodies, and self-estate professionals with the requisite knowledge on the vulnerability methods used by criminals in the real estate sector to launder money. The head of Information Technology, IT Financial Intelligence Sector, FIC, Mr. Kofi Boateng, said the use of cash to finance real estate transactions, and an organized nature of the sector, the operators' ability to use large cash and poor regulations and communication made the sector attractive for money launderers. He said the workshop will target real sector practitioners, relevant supervisory authorities, self-regulatory bodies, and FIC to address the problem of money laundering and financing of terrorism. The president of Ghana Real Estate Development Association, GREDA, Mr. Patrick Ebubonfo, said GREDA, in collaboration with FIC, had trained members on how to identify red flags in real estate transactions and report such crimes. He mentioned some of the risk areas for possible money laundering activities as identified by GREDA as manipulation of property values and barter trading. Moving on to other stories, at Focus Africa 2023, confirmed Ghana safest country to WA President Nana Addo assures investors city in Spain. Ghana is a haven of peace, security, and stability, and the safest country in West Africa, where legitimate investments are protected, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has said. The president made these remarks yesterday when he addressed the business community in Madrid, Spain, at the Focus Africa 2023 conference. We have witnessed through the ballot votes 3 peaceful transfers of power from one political party to another in the 28th year period of the Fourth Republic, he said, and urged investors to consider investing in Ghana. The president told the gathering that between 2017 and 2020, his first term in office was spent correcting the fundamentals of the economy, which were all pointing in the wrong direction. We have, over the period, put in place measures needed to reduce the cost of doing business, improve the business environment, and make the Ghanaian economy not only one of the most business-friendly economies in Africa, but also one of the fastest growing economies in the world between 2017 and 2020, he added. With the economies of most of the countries in the world either in recession or recording negative growth, he noted that Ghana's economy was one of the very few that still managed to record a positive GDP growth. With the economies of most of the countries in the world either in recession or recording negative growth, he noted that Ghana's economy was one of the very few that still managed to record a positive GDP growth. Moving on to other African stories, American Petroleum Institute (API) and African Energy Chamber signed first Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) to expand natural gas and oil industry standards and initiatives content provided by the American Petroleum Institute (API) and the African Energy Chamber (AEC), energychamber.org, have signed a Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) to collaborate on capacity building initiatives and standardization to enhance safety, environmental protection, and stability in African countries producing natural gas and oil. API is pleased to collaborate with the AEC to expand use of our world-class standards and programs to help enhance the safety, transparency, and sustainability of natural gas and oil operations across the African continent. API Segment Standards and Services Vice President Alexa Burr said, "This is our first partnership with an African-based organization, and we look forward to supporting AEC's efforts to drive industry-wide technical knowledge." The number of petroleum-producing countries in Africa has increased sustainability, coinciding with the movement across the continent to enact robust, equitability, and imminently more transport policies. This content-wide pursuit to increase the technical capacity of local organizations is of paramount importance to these natural gas and oil economies. It will be vital for public and private representatives of African host economies to work with the international petroleum industry and help ensure that the developmental needs of the local markets are met while maintaining policies that allow for oil sector investment in these economies and accelerating the adoption of industry practices that enhance safety and environmental protection. In Niger coup thwarted days before inauguration. An armed vehicle by the presidential palace in Niamey, Niger, archive shot. Niger says it thwarted an attempted coup just days before the inauguration of the next president. Armed attackers tried to seize the presidential palace in the early hours of Wednesday, but were fought off by the presidential guard, sources said. President-elect Mohamed Bazoum is due to be sworn in on Friday. It will be the final transfer of power between two democratically elected presidents in Niger since the country became independent in 1960. Niger is the world's poorest nation, according to the U.S. Development Rankings, 189 countries. It has seen four military coups, most recently in 2010. Residents in the capital Niamey reported hearing bursts of gunfire at around 3 o'clock local time, 2 o'clock GMT early on Wednesday. The attackers, reportedly from a nearby airbase, fled after being met with gunfire and shelling. A government spokesperson said a number of arrests have been made and investigators are working to identify who was responsible. In Sudan gives US $335 million for victims of bombings. More than 200 people died in the simultaneous attacks on the US embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. More than 200 people died in the simultaneous attacks on the US embassy in Kenya and Tanzania. The US says it has received $335 million, £243 million from Sudan to compensate victims of the 1998 bombings of the American embassies in Kenya and Tanzania and the worship 2 years later. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the payments, the term of which were agreed last year, heralded a new chapter of relations between Washington and Khartoum. The embassy bombings, as well as the attack in Yemen on the USS Code in 2000, were carried out by Al-Qaeda. Sudan had been accused by the US of sponsoring terrorism, but since the ousting of its former leader, Omar al-Bashir, 2 years ago, agreements have been reached to restore ties and wind down US sanctions. Here lies the end of the local story. Stay tuned as I bring you the foreign news.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned.
You're still logged on to HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Now let's do some world news. In France, young heroes climb building to save family in Nantes. A group of young people in the French city of Nantes are being hailed for rescuing a family from a fire in an apartment building. Dramatic footage shows them scaling the slide of the buildings and helping the parents escape their third-floor flat on Sunday afternoon. Mattresses were brought to the floor of the building, and the couple's 6-month-old baby was thrown to safety. She was taken to hospital in a critical condition, but is said to be recovering. One of the youths involved in the rescue, Tamid, told the Ouest of France website that the decision to throw the infant from the balcony was the last possible solution, as smoke billowed from the building in the Botard district of Nantes. The fire also spread to other flats in the building, and firefighters rescued several other people. Kenza Zekar, the leader of local youth organization Brand Eter et Solidarité Pays de la Loire, told the BBC that she had organized the family's rescue while local residents waited for the fire service to arrive. Her husband was among the young men who climbed the outstand of the building to help bring the parents to safety, she said. Her organization is now calling for 3 of those involved in the rescue, who are all migrants, to be given official papers and housing. An online petition addressing French President Emmanuel Macron has also been launched, calling for honor and recognition for the heroes of Boiter. The story echoes the case of a Malan migrant who was widely praised for climbing the outstand of a building to rescue a small boy dangling from a fourth-floor balcony in Paris in 2018. Mamadousa Gassama was later made a French citizen and presented with a medal for courage by the president. In other stories, Brazil political crisis and COVID surge rock Bolsonaro. The unprecedented resignation of the defense chiefs is being seen as a protest at attempts by Mr. Bolsonaro to exert undue control over the military. Mr. Bolsonaro's popularity has plummeted over his response to COVID-19. Nearly 314,000 people have died, with a new daily record of 3,780 on Tuesday. Worldwide, Brazil has the second highest number of total confirmed COVID cases, with more than 12.6 million. Only the United States has more. It is also the country with the second highest number of COVID-related deaths. COVID-related deaths. The high number of cases has brought the health system on the verge of collapse. In 18th of Brazil's 26 states in the capital, Brasilia, the occupancy of intensive care units (ICU) is above 90%, according to Brazilian Public Health Institute through Cruz. In 2 states, Amapá and Mato Grosso do Sul, ICU are completely full. The latest surge in cases and deaths have been attributed to the spread of a highly contagious variant of the virus, which was first detected in Japan in travelers from the city of Manaus in Brazil's Amazon state. Preliminary data suggests the new variant could be up to twice as transmittable as the original version of the virus. Neighboring countries are extremely worried. The new variant, Bolivia, which shares a 3,400 kilometers long, 2,100 miles, border with Brazil, announced that it would focus its COVID immunization program on the border areas. Brazil's own vaccine program has been beset by delays. So far, only 8% of its 211 million strong population have received a first dose. According to a poll published by Datafolha in mid-March, 43% of Brazilians blame President Bolsonaro of the poor handling of the pandemic. Here lies the end of the foreign story. Stay tuned as I bring you the entertainment news.
You are listening to the News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the tune.
You're still logged on to HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Now let's do some entertainment news. Nana Ama Brown discharged after testifying in Bulldog's case. The Circuit Court in Accra, presided over by Her Worship Evelyn Asamoah, has discharged Nana Ama Brown, who was in the court to testify the case in which Lawrence Esiama Hansen, aka Bulldog, is standing trial for threatening the life of the president. Brown, who was the first prosecution witness in the case, gave evidence and was cross-examined by defense lawyers. As part of her evidence in chief, the video of the incident, which happened on the United Showbiz program, hosted by Mark Brown, was also played in open court. The circuit court in Accra, presided over by her Anna Evelyn Asamoah last week, rejected prayers by the lawyer of Mark Brown to have the court witness summons set aside. After the court had dismissed counsel's application for the witness summons to be set aside, he also prayed for the court not to allow the prosecution to rely on her as a witness, but instead she will come as a court witness. He urged that the witness statement filed on behalf of Nana Ama Mark Brown by the prosecution was procured by deceit without explaining the full facts to her. It was the submission of counsel that the information provided to the police, which was tendered as a witness statement, was not disclosed to the witness that was going to be used for. Counsel, under the instruction of this client, prayed for the witness statement to be expunged. Prosecution, led by Chief Inspector Sinom Ipusonu, while objecting to the application made by counsel, said they were surprised by the stance of the witness and the submission made by her lawyer. According to the prosecutor, it was misleading on the part of counsel to say that the witness statement was procured under deceit. In other stories, Chiama's family refunds bride price to Davido's family. It's official, there was no assurance 2020 and there would be no assurance in 2021. Davido dated Chioma, played around with her emotions, got her pregnant and turned her into a baby mama, all on the assurance that he would marry her. He then dumped her like all his other baby mamas. Their breakup is now official as controversial Nigerian investigative journalist Kemi Ololunyo has released details. According to her, Chioma's family has returned the bride price to Davido and his family paid, signaling that they are no longer interested in their engagement becoming a marriage. Chioma's bride price has been refunded. You can now stop fasting and praying for David, she wrote. Chioma's family refunds bride price to Davido's family. Chioma came in thinking she could change Davido and finally make him settle down. In the end, she has become another baby mama. Looks like there is no woman born of woman who can tame this wild beast called David Adeleke. Here lies the end of the stories for tonight. Stay tuned as I bring you a recap of tonight's headlines.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV.
Now let's do a recap of tonight's headlines. Business tycoon shot dead at Kaswa. Former MP passes on. Sudan gives US $335 million for victims of bombings. Chioma's family returns bride price to Davido's family. These and many other stories I brought your way this evening. My name is Abina Ahunye. Stay tuned for more music. This is HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Have a good evening.